Good morning. I'm Frank Buchholz, North Langley Community Director of the Greater Langley Chamber of Commerce, and with me is Jack Nicolson, who is a fellow director on the Chamber of Commerce Board, but more importantly, is the CEO of one of Langley's biggest businesses, retail businesses, Otter CO-OP. Good morning, Jack. Welcome.
Good morning, Frank. I'm excited to be here. I'm really excited. We get to sit very close together, so I'm really excited that the mask mandate has come off and that we're able to share this time together.
Yeah, no, it's great. And as part of our Resilient series, Jack, and you know this, we're really trying to focus and talk to business people and community leaders about how COVID has shaped the way they've done business and what you've learned from it and where you're going now. And first off, for those who don't know that much about Otter CO-OP, tell us about your businesses because you're involved in a lot of different things.
So Otter CO-OP, we are a cooperative. We're actually celebrating our 100th year this year in 2022. And this land that Frank and I are sitting on today, the co-op has been here since 1922. So really excited that we've been around for 100 years. I think that's a lot of resilience. We definitely continue to plan for the future so that we can be here for the next 100 and beyond. As a cooperative, we share our profits back with our members and our community. So all the money stays right here in the communities that we live, work, and play. It does not go off to Texas or Toronto. And we support as many community groups and through sponsorships, scholarships, and donations as we can. And then the remainder of the profits at the end of the year get distributed back to those members that shop with us. So Otter CO-OP, we started here in 1922 where a bunch of farmers got together to have better buying power with feed. And we've grown, and stumping powder. We actually used to sell dynamite. We had 16-year-olds, Bev Dornan, that's worked for Otter CO-OP for 55 years and just retired. When she was originally hired, she sold stumping powder. I don't think we have 16-year-olds selling dynamite anymore. But now Otter CO-OP is in food, feed, petroleum, pharmacy, liquor, and hardware and clothing.
Yeah, so that's pretty impressive going from that start to this. So you've actually, your organization has been through hard times before, notably the Depression, Second World War, numerous recessions since that time.
And we've lived through, you know, the mad cow disease or avian flu, which was, you know, feed is a very big part of our business. And so that's where we think that it's very important to continue to diversify so that we are able to weather those storms. You know, if one particular area of our business is down, that another one is able to pick up some of that slack, and that's definitely helped us through COVID as well with some of the challenges, you know, both with petroleum where nobody was driving, and we are still a very large petroleum company, so we had a lot of our gas bars where we were sharing those employees with whether it was liquor locations or food locations just to try to keep everybody whole and keep them working. But yeah, it's definitely great to be diverse so that one area of the business is down, one of the other areas can hopefully pick that up.
Now you going to my questions here, John, and you've already talked about COVID and some of the effects on your business. There has been challenges with fuel, and now there's challenges with fuel because fuel prices are way up, and that is a big part of your business. But you also expanded during the COVID times. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So Otter CO-OP, we have been on a growth agenda for the past 10 years, and COVID definitely was a challenge. We did buy 2 pubs and a brewery at the start of COVID, and so that was definitely a very challenge, not something that we expected was going to go on as long as it has. So it is nice to see that restrictions are starting to loosen up and that we are able to get people back into those restaurants and able to share a meal together. Definitely with our liquor expansion, which has been part of our growth agenda for the last few years, an opportunity came up last year for us to purchase Alcana's stores, which were Liquor Barn and Liquor Depot, and that was just all timing. It was really great that we were able to partner with Envision Credit Union, who's also a cooperative, to finance that deal. And liquor continues to be, you know, people still have to eat, they still enjoy a beverage, they still have to drive to work, and of course they have to continue to feed their animals. So it's good to be diverse, and definitely that expansion into liquor has helped Otter CO-OP in our bottom line and returning our profits back to our members.
And other than the restaurants, and as you mentioned, the challenges with people not driving as much, most of the business lines are things that people have to use and need every day, aren't they?
And that's you know, part of the co-op business model is to provide those services that the community is looking for, and continue to look for those You know, people used to always joke, before we were in liquor, people always joked, if you haven't been to the 248th retail center where we have gas, feed, hardware, clothing, and the food store, people always said if it's not at Otter, you don't need it, but we didn't have liquor out here,
Yep.
so we say that that's why we put our first liquor store here.
Now, labor is a big challenge during COVID, and at our chamber meeting last night, we heard from the Minister of Jobs, who talked about labor and the shortage of labor. And I know you have said in the past that, you know, finding enough employees is a really real big challenge. How do you deal with that in this environment that we're in right now?
Well, and that's definitely is and continues to be a significant challenge, especially in the service industry. You know, whether you're serving guests in grocery or at the gas bars or in restaurants, finding those frontline team members continues to be a challenge. We have about 800 employees. We did have to reduce some of the hours at some of our locations just because it continues to be a challenge to have enough workforce to be able to serve those guests. We do have the opportunity to share our team members throughout the organization. Again, so if we've got people that are looking for extra hours, as long as they want to learn some new skills, we can train them to work in a food store or a liquor store or a gas bar or in feed. So we have done a lot of sharing of our employees. We offer very competitive wages. Nobody starts at minimum wage at Otter Co-op. We have a very significant benefit program for our team. We've offered a lot of extra training and career opportunities, so we think that makes us an employer of choice, but definitely still a challenge to get all those jobs filled and be able to serve our guests.
No, that's an interesting point you make about employees moving from one area of your business to another. Is that kind of a cross-pollination? Do you see some other benefits that might come from that when they know more aspects of the business?
Well, and we definitely, they might have started as a grocery clerk and just because that's their first job out of school maybe, but there's definitely opportunity to grow within the co-op, both at Otter Co-op and across the co-op system across the West, as people find what interests them or what area of business they'd like to go into. And a lot of people think, I'm a grocery clerk or I'm pumping gas, not realizing that there's huge career opportunities in the retail business. I actually started as a baker frying donuts. Well, not even a baker. The co-op trained me as a baker. I started frying donuts 32 years ago for the co-op, and so it's been quite a career progression.
So you've gone from a donut maker to a CEO. So there's lots of opportunity.
There's definitely opportunity for career in retail.
And what are some of the other challenges that you faced during COVID?
So the different mandates, and especially for our team, that frontline team, having to work with those guests. Not there's a lot of challenging people that come to shop that are frustrated with everything that's going on, and our frontline team definitely had to bear the brunt of a lot of that. So that was definitely a challenge, making sure that our team felt supported. Our office team could have worked from home, but none of us took that opportunity because my belief is if we're expecting our frontline team to be guest facing, we need to be here to support them and not sitting in a private office or sitting at home. Offering conflict resolution training for all of our team during this, just to help them deal with some of those more difficult guests. Our HR actually set up a ticketing system so that if we have 800 employees, so if a team member has an issue that they need some assistance with, or maybe it's a payroll question or something, they can. That was one of the innovation pieces. They can immediately get in contact, and one of our HR folks is going to respond to that fairly quickly, and just making sure that our team felt supported, and again, just that sharing of the employees, letting them know that if they want to work in other departments, we're going to try and keep their job whole and keep them working and support them throughout this pandemic.
That's good. Now, what about the supply chain? That continues to be a challenge, and actually, I think one of the first things I heard about the supply chain was from Bev at a chamber meeting about a year ago, and the challenges in getting goods from other countries and container costs and everything else. Is this something that's still affecting
And that's
your
still
business?
ongoing. We know that whether it's a significant amount comes from overseas, whether it's hardware or clothing, etc. That's a challenge. A lot of the food items come from overseas as well. Yes, we would love to support Canada and North America, but in reality, we do not make a lot of food and especially those other goods. So supply chain definitely continues to be an issue. And of course, with the flooding that happened in BC, that was added another piece of challenge when all of a sudden we couldn't get stuff from the east. So co-op, we were actually flying in transports of grocery into Vancouver to be able to supply our stores, and the roads washing out at Chilliwack, thankfully we had a bulk plant in Chilliwack that was able to work with the police departments and ambulance there to be able to at least supply the essential services in Chilliwack while those roads were being repaired. And
yeah, so that was yet another challenge. That had nothing to do with COVID. It just happened at the same time. You also mentioned your HR team and things that they were doing to help employees, and I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit about sort of whether mental health has been a bigger issue that you've noticed.
We definitely
your
see, and
organization.
not just our business, but in talking with other
Yeah.
businesses in the community, that there are definitely more folks off on stress leave, whether it's at Otter Co-op or other businesses that we hear. Just again, that mental stress of just not being able to have that human connection, or going out for a meal, or spending time with family. That's definitely taking a toll on folks, and
Yeah.
and more sick time being used, and not necessarily because of COVID, but just because of that mental health piece for sure. So at Otter Co-op, we do have a employee family assistance program that
Okay.
we encourage our team to take advantage of. And
And you mentioned that the office staff has been working on site, and that you believe in that because of your frontline employees. I'm wondering, with Zoom and all the other technologies, has your organization been able to make more use of those things during COVID?
And that was a good learning process for me, because I still am not a fan of Zoom, but it's definitely helped us keep in touch. And especially, when we took on the Elkanah deal, we bought 19 stores all at once, and so 219 new employees right in the middle of a pandemic where you can't go out and have a big gathering.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we did have a massive Zoom session to be able to invite any of them that wanted to join the session, just to learn who Otter Co-op is, hear about what we had to offer. We wanted to retain all those employees that came with that deal. And then just with some of our training, we're not able to go out and do the same training that we
Yep.
could in the past. So
Yep.
Zoom and WebExes have definitely helped with that. And now I'm seeing that we are fairly spread out. We're all throughout the Lower Mainland and some locations in the Okanagan. So it is easier now to do some Zoom or WebEx and get that message out right away, as opposed to waiting till everybody can get together in a convention center or
Yeah.
ballroom setting.
So it's definitely
that's
a
definitely
benefit.
helped.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked a little bit about some of the things you've done, and I don't know if you have anything to add about other organizational innovations that have maybe taken place in the last couple of years.
We continue to, like with our restaurants, we did not have what's it called, Uber Eats and those
Yeah.
types of deliveries. So we have started offering those. Their rates have come down, and so more of the guest isn't getting those added charges. So that's
Right.
been an innovation. We're just working on getting that into the liquor stores and getting through all the legalities of being able to use that. Again, our HR ticketing system specifically for our team to be able to use, to be in quick and easy contact with our HR team if they can't
Yep.
come into the office, or if they happen to be an employee in the Okanagan. Just electronic ordering. I think the Zoom and the WebEx, that's one of the biggest pieces for onboarding employees. Even doing interviewing, to me, that's also, I love to have a face-to-face interview
Right.
if I'm hiring somebody, and that was something to get used to. But especially in a tight labor market, you need to interview, and if that's a great candidate, hire them on the spot, because if you wait until you can get together in a meeting, that person's probably already got a
They'll be
job
gone.
somewhere else. Yeah.
Now, I have to ask you this, just because it's so interesting, and you had mentioned this to me when we were talking earlier. The name of your liquor stores is Angry Otter. You have to tell our audience, why are you Angry Otter? Because you're not an angry person. And Otter Co-op isn't an angry organization, so why is it Angry Otter?
So Otter Co-op, we bought our first liquor store about 3 years ago. It's the one that's here on our property, and we wanted to call it, we wanted it to be Otter Co-op Liquor, but the government currently does not allow that, so just a play on words, and we thought that, we're angry because we're not able to call it Otter Co-op, and it's really just stuck, and that brand is really growing, and we now have 26 locations, and it is starting to be that household word out there. So yes, we're not angry. It's a play on words. We're just angry that we can't call it Co-op Liquor, so that everybody's able to know that this is still part of the co-op model, that when you're shopping here, the profits are going back to you if you're a member. And if it's not, that money's still staying here in the community, and that's one of the big things that we're really proud about throughout COVID. Immediately when COVID hit and we had to close locations early, when we had to make certain cutbacks, we're really proud that it helped us focus and reset our business and really take a hard look at some of those things that we were spending money on. But we're really proud that through that all, we were still able to maintain that over $400,000 a year back to the communities that we live, work, and play in, whether it's through donations, scholarships, sponsorships of community events.
Well, thank you very much for all that information. You clearly have learned a lot from COVID, and I'm hoping that our viewers will learn some lessons and apply some of the things that you've mentioned. Is there anything else that you'd like to bring up, Jack?
I think just reminding folks to shop local. Again, these, everybody comes out and asks their local grocery, gas bars, liquor store, any local business for donations. The money that we have to give back in donations comes from that local support. So we just really ask that people continue to shop local as restrictions lighten up and as the borders open, etc. We just really want to remind people that your community needs you to shop local so that we continue to